Welcome to Nostalgic Wrestling, hosted by yours truly, the Pro Wrestling Junkie. Nostalgic Wrestling is sponsored by the Pro Wrestling subscription box service, That Wrestling Club. Visit thatwrestlingclub.com and remember to use the promo code Pop Culture Junkie to save 10% on your first box. On this episode of Nostalgic Wrestling, we will be discussing and reviewing the 1993 WWF King of the Ring pay-per-view. Let's begin with an interesting fact. This event was the very first King of the Ring pay-per-view. However, the WWF King of the Ring tournament was first held in 1985, in which Don the Rock Morocco was the winner after defeating the Iron Sheik in the tournament finals. Except for 1990 and 92, the King of the Ring tournament was held each year from 1985 to 2002. Winning the King of the Ring at this time was simply a way to give certain stars a chance to shine without using a title belt to do so. However, numerous superstars whom have won the King of the Ring tournament would implement the title of King into their ring name, such as King Mabel, Macho King Randy Savage, King of Hearts Owen Hart, and King Kurt. You have to realize that this is before the internet, so any championships or titles a superstar held were sometimes only recognized if the wins happened on television or pay-per-view. And for whatever reasons, the WWF did not care to promote the status of some superstars who had previously won the King of the Ring tournament prior to 1993. For example, in 1988, Haku was the holder of the crown due to an injury suffered by the winner of the 1986 King of the Ring tournament, another fellow Heenan family member, Harley Race. Yet during this time in 1987 and 1988, Randy Savage and Ted DiBiase won the tournaments for those years, yet were not given the moniker of being the King. Yes, Randy Savage would not be crowned the Macho King until defeating Hacksaw Jim Duggan for the crown in 1989. So after several years of only having 4 pay-per-views per year, why did WWF decide to make a King of the Ring pay-per-view? At WrestleMania 9, WWF champion Bret the Hitman Hart lost the title to Yokozuna when his manager Mr. Fuji threw salt in the Hitman's eyes just as Bret was applying the sharpshooter. This allowed Yokozuna to get the pinfall and the win. At the end of the match, Hulk Hogan appeared at ringside to check on Hitman's condition. Mr. Fuji gets on the microphone, begins to taunt Hogan, and issued him a challenge right then and there for the WWF Championship. Hogan agrees and enters the ring. Fuji attempts to blind Hogan with salt to the eyes, but he misses and hits Yokozuna. Hogan delivers a clothesline followed by a leg drop and wins the WWF title. Interesting fact, the plan was for Hulk Hogan to defend the title and lose to Bret the Hitman Hart at SummerSlam 1993. Basically, this was the chance to finally pass the torch from one generation to the next. However, Hogan changed his mind and did not want to put over Bret and opted instead to lose the title to Yokozuna at King of the Ring. As a consolation prize, Bret Hart was granted entry into the King of the Ring tournament without requiring him to win a qualifying match. Okay, spoiler alert, we are going to run down the entire card and discuss the results of every match. Match number 1, King of the Ring quarterfinal match, Bret Hart versus Razor Ramon. Bret Hart pinned Razor Ramon after a 10-minute match after Hart lands on Ramon after a second rope belly-to-belly suplex attempt by Razor. This was a great opening match, not as exciting as their 1993 Royal Rumble match, but still very good. Match number 2, King of the Ring quarterfinal match. It's the Battle of the Misters with Mr. Perfect versus Mr. Hughes. This match was completely uneventful. Perfect was declared the winner by DQ in just over 5 minutes when Hughes hits Mr. Perfect with The Undertaker's urn, which he was currently in the possession of. Match number 3, King of the Ring quarterfinal match. Bam Bam Bigelow, the Beast from the East, versus Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Very short match that ended when Hacksaw missed a charge into the turnbuckle. Bam Bam follows it up with a flying headbutt off the top rope for the pinfall and advances in the tournament. Match number 4, King of the Ring quarterfinal match. The Native American Tatanka versus Lex Luger. This is when Luger was still portraying the narcissist character, and I always felt like he was a close clone to the villain in Superman 4. Both competitors looked like they were blown up within the first few minutes, and the remainder of the match definitely showed it. This match went the full 15-minute time limit and ended in a draw. Luger got on the mic asking for 5 more minutes. Tatanka did accept the challenge. Luger ends up removing his protective forearm pad and nails Tatanka from behind. The match just ended there with no one advancing in the tournament, which now meant that Bam Bam Bigelow would get a bye and advance straight to the finals. Backstage, we get to see a very entertaining promo segment with Mean Gene Okerlund between Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect. Perfect mentions that he still owes Bret for their classic SummerSlam 1991 match, which Bret gloated over being victorious on that night. Gene asked them if their fathers ever wrestled each other, which Hart said yes, and that his father won. It was a nice little setup before the match. Match number 5, King of the Ring semifinal match, Bret the Hitman Hart versus Mr. Perfect. Here we have one of the matches of the night, and both men demonstrate why they are ring generals. Lots of near fall, and both superstars gave this match their all. Bret is victorious by reversing a small package attempt by Perfect. After the match, they shook hands as a sign of respect, but to me it seemed like they were setting up for a rematch down the line. Match number 6, WWF Title Match, Hulk Hogan versus Yokozuna. Now, it's important to note that during this match, there were several photographers around the ringside area, giving the audience the impression that there is big media interest in this matchup. There wasn't. Now, originally, Hogan was to drop the title to Bret at SummerSlam, but instead we get this title matchup. Lots of back and forth moments in this 13-minute match. Hogan hits the leg drop, but Yokozuna kicks out. When Hogan signals he's going to slam Yokozuna, a cameraman appears on the ring apron, and as Hogan approaches, bam! A fireball shoots out of the camera, blinding Hogan to the mat. Yokozuna delivers a leg drop of his own and gets the pinfall to win his second WWF Championship. As Yokozuna and Fuji are celebrating, Hogan really demonstrates his acting talents, selling the effects of the fireball. Yokozuna drags Hogan to the corner and Banzai splashes him. Hogan is then helped to the back as we hear Bobby Heenan screaming, "Hulkamania is dead." To me, this match was horrible. At this point, Hogan was way past his prime in WWF. The days of Hulkamania running wild were long gone, and so many new and young talents were making their names right now. Hogan had an opportunity to put over the Hitman and really give him the rub, but that just didn't happen. Match number 7, the Steiner Brothers and Smoking Guns versus the WWF Tag Team Champions, Money Inc. and the Head Shrinkers. This match went for about 7 minutes. Bart Gunn gets the win for his team when he gets Ted DiBiase in a small package. Nothing more needs to be said about this one except how bad Billy Gunn's promo was backstage beforehand. Yikes. Match number 8, WWF Intercontinental Title Match, Shawn Michaels versus Crush. This was another great match. Shawn Michaels continues to grow as an all-around sports entertainer. Crush has developed this character to really stand out from his days in Demolition. The match lasted 11 minutes when two Doink the Clowns appeared at ringside, distracting Crush and allowing Shawn Michaels to deliver the super kick from behind and roll up Crush for the pinfall. Very entertaining match. Match number 9, our main event, which is the King of the Ring Finals. We have Bret the Hitman Hart versus Bam Bam Bigelow. At this point, Bigelow has only had to wrestle one match, where Bret Hart has had to defeat both Razor Ramon and Mr. Perfect in 2 competitive matches. Hart limps to the ring, showing that his body has been punished already. They went all out for this match, battling inside and out of the ring. Luna Vachon strikes Hart with a chair without the ref seeing before escaping to the back, but Hart is still able to continue. After surviving a bear hug, vicious side power slam, and many near falls, Hart dodges Bam Bam as he charges into the corner. Hart victory rolls Bigelow and gets the 3 count and the win. This match was fantastic. Bret Hart delivered not 1 but 3 amazing matches. Bam Bam Bigelow was amazing as the heel in the main event. Very good solid match from both men. Bret Hart's now crowned the King of the Ring. However, his celebration is cut short as Jerry the King Lawler from Memphis, Tennessee makes his WWF debut, interrupting the ceremony, calling Bret an imposter and insists that Bret bow and kiss his feet. Hart begins a Burger King chant, which now instigates Lawler to attack, choking Hitman with his scepter. The pay-per-view ends with Hart laying helpless, beaten, and exhausted as Lawler destroys Hart's newly won crown. Interesting facts about this show. Bret the Hitman Hart wrestled 3 matches in a single night to win his second King of the Ring tournament, making him the only WWF superstar to win the King of the Ring twice. He previously won the 1991 King of the Ring, but that one was not televised. This was the WWF pay-per-view debut of Kevin Nash, who was Shawn Michaels' newly acquired insurance policy. This would be Hulk Hogan's final WWF pay-per-view until 2002, as soon after this match he left the WWF to pursue more acting jobs such as Mr. Nanny and Thunder in Paradise. Having lost the WWF title at WrestleMania 9 but not receiving a rematch against Yokozuna as a consolation prize, Bret Hart was picked to be the winner of the King of the Ring, and he began a feud with Jerry Lawler. While Vince McMahon, once again choosing a big man with muscles, decides to push Lex Luger for the SummerSlam 1993 title match against Yokozuna, and changed his narcissist persona into being the next real American character following Hogan's departure. Overall, this was a very entertaining pay-per-view, and the number 1 reason to watch this pay-per-view is Bret the Hitman Hart, who carried the show from beginning to end. Highly recommend if you're a Hitman fan. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode of Nostalgic Wrestling with the Pro Wrestling Junkie. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, you can see more from me by checking out my YouTube channel, Pop Culture Junkie, where I review all topics of pop culture related items, including pro wrestling. You can follow along with me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Well, take care. I will see you next time. And remember, to me, wrestling will always be real.